Welcome to another video from Dr. Locke. All Predator looking again. This is my iLoad van and it's all Predator looking. Alright, so we've done a lot of things on this. I won't go through what we've done, but I'll go through on what happened about 6 months ago. 6 months ago we had an overheating problem. Okay, so we've done the motor, we've done everything, and we had an overheating trouble. So at that stage I said, right, new radiator, new water pump, new thermostat, new hoses, new everything. So we did all that, and then we had another issue. So anyway, the car's been off the road for about 2 months or so trying to fix that other issue. So it's all back on the road, and then we find that the car's blowing steam from the radiator, not from the radiator cap, but the actual core itself. Steam is rising up like a kettle boiling, and it was coming from here and here. So we've got a cooling issue. So anyway, the radiator's gone in to go get checked. We put it under pressure check. There's no leak whatsoever. So basically it could be a pinhole or a crack that's under pressure. We were losing a little bit of coolant, and also some of the coolant was going into the overflow reservoir when the car turns off, because that was always filling up and the radiator was always sort of low on coolant. So we got an issue. So the actual thermostat, I'm not sure if I replaced it. I mean, it does look okay when you look at that side, but I mean, is that 6 months old? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to be definitely replacing that. Even if I did replace it last time, I'm going to replace it. This is where the thermostat lives, up here. And of course, we had to get the alternator out to get to it and loosen the serpentine belt by this one here. So anyway, that's not the kind of worst thing about it. This pump here, I replaced it. I've got the old pump and it's looking a bit worse for wear. Now, this is the old pump. I left it out in the rain, but the old pump didn't really need to be replaced, but I replaced it anyway to be on the safe side. So that's turning. It's a bit tight. It's probably got some corrosion. No noise. No play. So I mean, that could even go back on if you wanted to clean it up, but I'm just going to replace it. So that's the old pump. Now let's have a listen to the new pump that's done maybe about 10,000 K since I put it in, maybe less. Ready? Oop. And you can see the water coming out. So it's like talking to me saying, stop it, stop it. Sounds like I'm doing wrong to it. Ready? Anyway, so that's what the pump sounds like. So whether or not I got a bad thermostat or a bad pump, I don't know, but it's making a sound. And unfortunately, I get the feeling that pump's going to have to come off. And looking around, I have dropped a little bit of coolant, and there is a little overflow somewhere here that tells you when the pump is going, but I'm not too sure. So this was like a $200 pump, but I don't think it should sound like that. No, it shouldn't sound like that. So unfortunately, that's coming off. And for all of those people that like surprises, stay tuned. I'm going to pull it off and see why it is making this funky noise, because it shouldn't make that noise. And we are having issues with the cooling. So if the impeller's fallen off or something like that, that's a possibility. Just not sure. But the water seems to be flowing, because when I rev it, once it's up to temperature, I'm getting water. When I'm bleeding it, I can see the water's, coming out of the bottle at the top. So I know that I'm getting sort of flow. One of the top pipes as well was getting kind of solid. So, couldn't push it like that. It felt rock solid, like it was going to burst. So that leads me back towards the water pump. So moral of the story is it the radiator or is it the water pump? And is the water pump now messed up the radiator? Because if you're seeing steam coming out of the, coming out of the side of the radiator, similar to what you would a kettle when it boils, that's either getting hot enough so that it's kind of boiling inside, which could boil the seals and all the epoxy and whatever they use to seal it. So this time around, I think I might get a solid aluminium soldered radiator. I'm going to replace the pump anyway, because it's all out now, and I don't want to do this for a third time. But this one here, they say to use genuine OEM, because at least that way they'll work, and somebody else says that they have seen them fail they can fail straight away and they can fall apart. So perhaps, considering the amount that it takes to strip the whole car down and get it to this stage, perhaps we should go on OEM on this and pay the exorbitant price. And also, I'll throw in a new thermostat for the hell of it. I don't know why it's got brown on it, because it's never had chemi weld or anything apart from coolant in there, and that also could be a telltale sign of the water getting too hot. So somebody might know, leave it down in the comments, but let's get on to it. Let's take this off and see what surprises are under there. Alright, so I've taken all the bolts out, and somebody did say to me too, sometimes when you're rebuilding motors and you're trying to keep an old car running, it's like firefighting, and he was absolutely right. Commercially, it definitely would have been better to buy a new car rather than go through all these problems. So this being a new water pump and all the rest, we're going to find out and see what that surprise is and see why it's making a rubbery noise. Sounds like it's crying. Like a bird. Alright, so I've got the bolts out. Let's give it a... of course, it's... Ooh, there we go. Bit of green stuff everywhere. Alright, so what have we got here? Alright, so that came off there. Alright, so looking at it, look at this. What is that? Oh, that's the gasket. Okay. So the gasket that came with it mustn't have been great, because that's in the water well and that's starting to peel up and cause an obstruction. So this whole area here should be clear, but it's not, and that feels clear. Okay, so we're into the block okay there. A bit of surface cleaning to be going on there, and if we put our finger through this side, we should be able to sort of get a piece of wire or something to feed through into the water jacket that side. Alright, so is this, what's going on with this? So there's something new to learn as well. The crappy gasket that came with didn't have this cutout, and I thought, oh no, if that's the one that comes with, that should be okay. But obviously it's getting into the moisture, so I'm going to cut that out next time, make sure that nothing is in where the water is, because obviously it comes up through here. We've lost a little bit of gasket there, I think. It's really hard to tell, isn't it? So it's an unusual shape, and that goes around to there. So yeah, as far as free play, no, but is it still making that noise? Well, let's have a listen. Hang on, do it this way. That actually sounds like the rubber seal inside is not lubricated. So anyway, I'll have to take that back to NEP and see what they think about it. That's our surprise for today, and that's the look of the 4D CB iLoad motor. I'm going to get a new gasket, a new water pump, a new thermostat, and a new radiator, and pop them all back on, cross my fingers, and we'll see if I'm doing this video again in a few months after that. Leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching.